Hello, hello, hello. Good afternoon, or maybe good morning to some. This is your girl, Nickquolette Barrett, your virtual Chief Career Development Strategist, also known as the Get Higher Strategist. I'm so excited, as I always am, to be with you all every single week, bringing you awesome guests nowadays to talk about real talk, real careers, and real results. So we're going to talk to our guests in a little while. So I just wanted to welcome you all. For those of you all who don't know me, like I said, I am Nickquolette Barrett, CEO and founder of iRock Development Solutions, LLC, and I do business as iRock Resumes. I love rocking out the resumes. You can find me on all social media at iRock Resumes on LinkedIn. Definitely link up with me on LinkedIn at my long name that you see there, Nickquolette Barrett. If you just put it Nickq, trust me, I probably am the only one that'll pop up on almost all social media. Find me there and connect with me there as well. And also do me a favor. If you enjoy this content, this show is sponsored by buymeacoffee.com. So go to buymeacoffee.com /iRock.tv and buy me a latte. This is how this show is supported. I call it a viewer and soon listener supported show. You know, I keep telling you guys, I've been doing these live shows for like 5 years now. Especially when first Facebook Live started, I jumped on, started doing that. And then I've been growing over time. So these shows have always been absolutely pro bono. So if you go out to my YouTube channel, Nickquolette Barrett, the Get Hired Strategist, you can find 100+ videos on resume writing, interview prep, LinkedIn, career development. I have some awesome interviews on there as well. I hope you all can hear me. Can y'all hear me? I just had to think about that. Hey, Tammy, can you all hear me? Tammy, can you hear me? I'm using my mic today. So I just want to make sure that everybody can hear me. I'm just talking away. I'm like, can they even hear me? Okay, yeah. Anyway, so Tammy said, hey. So I would love for you all to go out there and support the show by going to buymeacoffee.com /iRockTV. Thank you all so much for all of the supporters that were out there that supported me, and I look forward to having more. So please, please, please go on out there. Let me take a look real quick before we get started. I am going to go to a quick intro commercial. And then after that, okay, yes, you can hear. Okay, good. Neil, she said, yes, you can hear me too. Okay, good. Because I turned on my mic today, y'all. Okay, yes. Yay. Okay, so I am going to go to my quick break, and then I'll bring on my special guest. So stay tuned. All righty. I am so excited to have my special guest here today. Hey, Sarah.
Hey, Nickquolette. How are you?
I'm good, on fire as I always am, right? I'm always on 10. So maybe I should come down to like maybe 2. I don't know.
No, I like the 10. I like the 10.
Awesome. Well, I am so excited to have you. And what I want to do is, of course, read your bio first, and then we can get started because I'm so excited to have you on. You and I met. Well, we could talk about that later. Anyway, so let me tell you all about my wonderful, wonderful guest, Sarah Muniz. Am I saying that right? Muniz?
It's good enough. It's my
okay. 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 So she's been in the insurance industry for 20 years in various different roles. Her career started as a customer service representative and progressed to a producer at an independent agency. She's also worked in InsurTech for about a year, helping agencies hire virtual assistants. The insurance industry gave her the most room for making a good living and growth, but she found that there is a glass ceiling. Yes, and that is kind of hard to break through for women. We're going to talk about that. So, her goal is to even the playing field for all races and genders in the insurance industry. And she has a passion for diversity, equity, and inclusion as well. And that's where her passion comes from based on her own experience. So, Sarah, I gave a brief bio about who you are. Why don't you tell the audience more about who is Sarah?
Well, so
Mm-hmm.
Sarah never thought she was going into the insurance field. I'm
Mm-hmm.
actually a more of a creatively minded individual, which has
Mm-hmm.
served me well in the insurance field. But I thought I was going to be doing copywriting for a big ad agency.
Oh, mm-hmm.
Turns out the ad agencies weren't hiring after September 11th because, the
Yeah.
first thing that gets cut is advertising and marketing.
Mm-hmm.
And as we all know, there's so many opportunities in insurance, and it's the easiest place to get a job for a new graduate. So that's how I ended up in insurance. Didn't take me long before I actually realized what insurance was, and decided I loved it because of how it helps people. So like probably my first 2 to 4 years, I didn't really understand what I was doing or why. I was just there for a paycheck. And then about 4 years in, there was a major loss that one of my clients had. And my agency owner came to me and he said, Sarah, if this person did not have an umbrella policy, he would have not have been covered for this major loss. So what it was his 15-year-old took the vehicle and actually caused a at-fault accident. And unfortunately, so what's really sad is the 15-year-old passed away because of the accident, but also killed some of the kids in the car with him.
Whew.
So you can imagine not only is his father mourning the loss of his child, but he's also, he's being sued from these other parents that lost their children as well, or got majorly injured. And so had he not had an umbrella policy, he would have been out that $1 million. And that, for whatever reason, that clicked in my head at that point. And I was like, you know what? I'm never going to quote an auto policy that doesn't have the most amount of liability coverage. I'm always going to offer an umbrella and let people know the benefits of insurance, like why you have it. It's not a commodity. It's something that you need. You may not realize it. But every time you go out and drive your vehicle, it's just like a roll of the dice. Or anytime we have a major storm, you don't know if that tornado is going to hit your house. And you want to make sure you have the right kind of coverage, not cheap coverage, the correct coverage.
I like that you said that. We'll dig into that in a little bit as well, because that's going to be very important, especially because we don't understand what's going on out there with insurance. Because those of us who've been in the insurance industry for a long time, we know how it is. Let me see. I want to say hi. You got somebody, Deshauna, saying hello.
Deshauna. One of my favorite girls.
Yay! And Nairobi wants to say hello too. Hey, Nairobi,
nice
thank you so much for joining us. And of course, I always ask my audience to share the broadcast so more people can come on and get this great information. Thank you. Now, Sarah, let's go back a little bit before we dig into all of the insurance stuff. So what is the one thing that you wish you would have known when you began your career?
I wish I would have known the growth opportunity I knew from the beginning. But what I didn't realize was that my growth opportunity was not the same as a guy, as a man, to be correct, as a white man my age is. His opportunity, he's going to excel. And what I have found in my career is that I actually, I spent a lot of time comparing myself to those men, thinking like, why am I not as successful as them? Why can't I get past this one point in my career? What's wrong with me? And realizing that a lot of times they didn't even have the same talent level as I did. Their production was lower, but I would be told, like, Sarah, don't be greedy, which I don't like that word being told, because greedy for a female is ambitious for a man. Yeah. And so I started noticing the differences, and it took me like 5 to 10 years, like of hitting a wall before I really started putting it together. And really, like in the last 5 years, not even the last 5 years, I would say the last 2 or 3 years, is when I actually, a light bulb went off, and I realized it's not me.
Yeah.
It's my gender, and that stinks, because I want other women or other girls, like I want my daughter to think that insurance is a great place to be, because we do have great opportunities. It's just that we are so limited. We're so limited just because, and there's some people that can move up as women, but it's really hard. I mean, it's not like it's easy, like someone's helping us move up. It's more like we are fighting for every promotion, everything that we're trying to achieve. And you have to like break through those walls. And sometimes breaking through those walls means changing companies. And then that's hard. You have to start all over again.
Yeah.
And sometimes that doesn't really break through the wall, because you're starting all over again, trying to work against the same odds that you had before, even though you thought you had a better opportunity. And specifically, I am talking about myself. This is my own experience.
Yeah.
But I've also, that when the light bulb went off was when I started talking to a friend of mine.
Yes.
And she actually helps coach insurance agencies. I don't know if she wants me to mention her name, so I'm not going to mention it. But she coaches insurance agencies, and she's all about like advocating for women and female-owned agencies.
Yes.
And so I'm sharing my story with her, and she's like, "Oh my gosh." She's like, "I've heard this story from every woman that I've met in the insurance field." So she's like, "You're not first." And she really inspired me to decide that I was like, you know what, I feel like I'm strong enough to where I can help others, advocate for them and also advocate for myself at the same time.
I love that.
As much as I can.
I love that. And even going back to our topic today, because our topic is about how the soft skills, right? So how does that play into, what you're talking about today? How our soft skills can help the insurance industry? So speak from the insurance industry, and also from how they need to see us as women, as we're talking about, women being able to promote. Why is that important?
Oh my gosh, it's the backbone of insurance. Like, it's what we're about. If we don't have empathy for our clients, if we're not willing to go above and beyond to help them, make sure they have the right coverage, advocate that for them during a claim situation, even cry with them when they lose a loved one. I don't know anybody who does that better than a woman. I mean, we're really in touch with our feelings. I've read books. I read The Female Brain. And I mean, it's proven that women have the capacity, like we feel for others. Yes. It's part of our nature. And it's exactly what the insurance field needs. Like, if you don't have empathy and you don't want to help others, you're just in it for the dollar. It's not the right industry. And if that was what our industry is based off of, the dollar and not the people, then why not go and buy insurance from a direct writer and with so much stock? Go get it with the lizard. I won't say the name because I don't know.
Yeah.
Right. I understand. We're not a good company, but I'm like, we become a commodity. That's how we become commoditized. Is that people don't understand what having an agent should be like, because there's good and bad agents. And unfortunately, there's agents that are all about the money. And then there's agents that are all about, they're in it to help people be part of the community.
I like that. Yes. Especially being part of the community.
And like claims representatives, like if you're not out there trying to really help that person and their times of losses, what's the point of even being in this field? For me, I'm here to help others. Yes, I want to make a good living, but I really, in my heart, though, I like to be able to sleep at night and know that I help someone.
Oh, that is absolutely wonderful, because it is. Those soft skills help you get over. And I have Tony on here too. He says soft skills are so important. Tony was my guest a couple of weeks ago, and that's how he built his, business, being able to, or his clientele, having those relationships. And that's why soft skills are important. And a lot of people think that insurance is not an industry, or they think of, I guess, the insurance as an agent on the corner and not the understanding all that goes into it. So I'm glad that you were able to show the other side of insurance about how to help people, because you don't always have to just help people in public service, right? There are corporate jobs that you can help as well, which is the thing. Here's my auntie on here. Hey! My auntie, hey! Auntie on here say, hey, niece. Okay, so let me ask you this question now. Well, let's talk about failures, because again, this is a show about careers, and we've had all types of failures in our career, or as I like to call them, failures. Now, that's not my term. It's falling forward and then getting back up. So what is your biggest failure, and what did you learn from that?
Oh my gosh. Okay, so I have so many to share. I'll just choose a few because I've had a lot of fallings.
Okay.
So I was in a credit union position for about 10 years. I was highly successful, the top producer for 10 years, but I felt like I could do more. I wanted to move up, but there was no opportunity for growth. So although I was making well above six figures there, and I'm only saying that just to show the falling part.
Okay.
So I was doing very well at a very young age, but I kept getting, like, every time I was like, hey, I want to be a sales manager as we're growing. I want to do more. I want to do training. And I wasn't even wanting to get paid more for it. I was just wanting to do it because I was kind of bored just with selling.
Yes.
I wanted a new challenge, and I think it's exciting to watch other people grow. I just love watching that.
Yes.
And I kept being told no because, Sarah, you're good at sales. That's all you should do. So, and which was fine. That was what they thought. So I took a leap of faith, and the leap landed me on my face because I went to go work for another agency that did not treat me very well at all. And he basically wanted me to move my business from the other place I was at to his. And when I refused, I got let go. So I went from six figures to no figures. like real quick. Luckily there's so many opportunities in insurance. I was able to get with another agency. But it took a big hit on my self-esteem. A huge hit. I don't know that we talk about that a lot, but how much that step backwards that I thought was going to be forward, it was like 2 or 3 steps back because I had to rebuild myself up because when I left to go work with the other place, which he was telling me I was going to grow my own book and I was going to grow my own team, and all these promises were made that weren't fulfilled, and then ultimately ended up not having a job because of it. My self-esteem, I thought I was no longer good at what I did.
Wow.
So it took me, even starting in a new role, 3 or 4 months before I started getting footing and remembering I am good at what I do. And a supportive employer saying, hey, you're really great. You're doing really great. I'm really proud of you. Just keep going. It takes a little while to build up a book of business. And it took that for me to build myself up and feel confident enough to do well again. And again, I became another top producer, but I never, in that role, I wasn't ever going to get out of a producer role. So, and then also, he offered me another opportunity on another side of his business. So I took that for a while, and that was fine. That was the virtual assistance job. So I was just trying new things, but I would say that 2020 left me on my feet a little bit. But 2021 is showing real progress.
Okay, good. 2020 has been a challenge for
everybody. 2021 is looking real good right now.
Exactly. And it's so funny that you say that, because I tell people with that 2020, I said, because usually when people ask me the question, well, what about this gap on my resume? I said, I think at this point, pretty much people know, just put down pandemic. I think you'll be okay.
Right.
I said, then they think about, I guess you're right. I said, because you're not the only one. I said, I think everybody understands that. So I like that you talked about that self-esteem, because when you are knocked down off of something, especially when you're thinking that you're doing well, you're pushing forward, and then something happens and your self-esteem. Now, I do want to dig into that a little bit. So not only you said what people were telling you, what did you yourself have to do to kind of crawl yourself back to that where you feel confident to continue going forward?
Yeah. So I had to do a lot of self-work. I'll tell you that. My mental health took a hit from it. I suffered from depression. And what I have, and I don't know if I really should talk about that on the air, but I feel like other people have the same issues.
Yeah,
and we're all
fine.
like, I get embarrassed by it, but I shouldn't be.
Nope.
I seeked out, health. I seeked out help. So I really lots of therapy, lots of working through my own self-talk, because at the end of the day, my self-esteem wasn't so much about what that guy was telling me. It was about me believing what he told me and then telling it to myself continuously. And so I had to learn how to break the cycle of believing not only that person, but believing it so much that I was repeating it to myself.
Yeah, because you were becoming what he had basically ultimately shaped your mindset to be. In his mind, he saw you as one thing, so he then put that on you, and then you start to take ownership of that.
And that's right. Yeah, that's right. And it wasn't just him. I mean, I have many people in my life as my childhood who told me I was dumb and I wasn't good enough. And a lot of it stems from that. It wasn't just this one person that said that to me. It was a familiar thing I used to hear. Does that make sense? And so that's part of the reason why I think I latched onto it. Because I was like, you know what? He's telling me that. My dad tells me that. My mom tells me that. It must be true. And that's not true.
Yeah. And it's no embarrassment to talk about those things, because people struggle with that silently and they don't want to talk about it. But I believe strongly that the more we talk about it in corporate America, in our lives, because that's how we function. It's all from the mental state. And I put out a post, I think it was yesterday or the day before, saying something to the fact that not all feedback is good feedback. Consider the source, because sometimes people give feedback from a hurt place. They give feedback that's negative because of who they are. And it's our job to actually see the source for what it is and then dig deep. Not to say that it won't affect you, but dig deep to pull up that, okay, although I'm hearing this over here, what has been told to me of what I do and my skill set and what my worth is that I've heard also. How can I pull that forward? And so that's going to be something that's going to be very key. And I think that goes into the soft skills, because as women, we do tend to take that harder than probably our male counterparts do. But we need to be able to overcome those things. So don't at any time feel embarrassed about talking about that, because that's life. One of my great friends, her name is Vanessa. She started a mental health awareness type of organization, and it's called. And one of the things that she talks about is that taking off the mask, because when we take off the mask, we can deal with it better. So I like that you said that. Neil, she says people do that when they are intimidated and afraid of who you are, who you will become.
Which is kind of strange, because I'm
Drop
just Sarah.
The mic. Yeah, I know, right? But that is so true, and that's why you have to consider the source of that feedback and not take ownership of that as well. Okay, I got a lot of family coming on today. That's my sister-in-law. Hey, sister-in-law. But that is so true. So now let's talk about what advice you would give to someone who was looking to take on a career like yours. What would you tell them to do and how to prepare?
So what I would say is just learn as much as you can, take every training opportunity you can. I never got designations. I didn't even realize they were important until I met Tony on the campus. And then I was like, oh, I should be doing that.
He's episode 1 of this year, y'all. Go check Tony out.
But so because I was never told by any agency that they cared for me to do that or that was important. But if I had that behind my name, it would make me feel more confident. And also it would have helped my training, because originally when I was trained by an agency owner that didn't really train me. I just would hear what he said, and that was my train. Like, he would be in the back room, I would be in the front room, and I could hear what he was saying, and I had to kind of try to figure it out from that. He never actually trained me. And so had I maybe gotten some designations and known about it, that I could take charge of my own career and my own training,
Yes.
Then that could have been it. Then maybe instead of it taking me 4 years to figure out what insurance is about, maybe I could have figured it out in a year and a half. I don't know.
Right.
So, and I think
for those of you who are not aware with those, go ahead. We want to explain what the designations are, certifications in insurance. Go ahead.
Yes. And so I would say that as women, because we are competing against men that have privilege and will move up, whether they do the extra work or don't, or whether they're mediocre or not, just because of who they are, especially white men. I'll just say it. The more you have, the more tools you have to show, like, look, this is what I can do. These are the things I have to offer. Just the more opportunities, I believe, that you have.
Yep. Oh, look at what Tammy said. This is something that we've been chewing on for the last couple of months, right, Tammy? She said feedback is like eating a steak. You eat the meat and leave the bone. Take what you can and keep it moving. And and that is so important. Let me see. Husbands do that all the time, including family. Okay, so she said husbands do that all the time. Awesome. But so therefore, making sure that we do those, because I want to make sure people understood about the designations. They're like certifications in different industries. Because I remember when I first got my CPCU, chartered property casualty underwriting designation, I had a question from one of my friends who's a PhD. She said, well, what is that? I said, honey, it's just like getting a PhD. I said, trust me, those courses are so hard. I said, they're college level courses. And what's nice about the designations and needing certifications as well, you become part of a community. And therefore, there's a lot of networking that happens in that community that can also open up opportunities. Would you agree to that?
Yes, absolutely. Yeah,
because and how did we meet?
We met at a conference, right? For insurance nerds.
Yeah,
we hit it off right off the bat. I mean, I don't know that anyone cannot hit it off with you, but at least you liked me, so that's a good thing.
Yeah, you were rocking it, Sarah. Well, that's how we met, because that's how your network grows, because you get a chance to meet like-minded people in those organizations when you do get those designations, or even not, you don't even have to complete it. You can still go to the organizations, the conferences and stuff, and meet people who are doing on the same path. They're attempting to secure it and get it, or they've already been doing it for had their designation for years. The network is really, really large. Yeah, so I like that. Okay, so now we talked about some of the challenges and everything that you've had. What are some of the best resources that have helped you along the way in your career?
Just finding other people in the insurance industry that I can emulate is probably what's been the biggest thing to help me. I've had so I think probably the credit union is where I really built up my skills the most. Previous to that, I was in a customer service role, so I learned what I could, but I wanted to go into selling, and I was really like my employer there. Really, just he gave me a blueprint. If you do these things, you will be successful with us. And I'm one of those people. I was like, okay, I got a blueprint. I'll just do that. And it worked, and I just kept doing it and kept improving. And so he was a great mentor and really taught me. He had owned an agency before, and then he actually decided that he wanted to partner with credit unions. And so he starts agencies inside of credit unions. So it's really cool. And I was the first agent hired into this particular credit union. And I think I actually did the best. He had a couple other credit unions he did, and I was outperforming them. And he's like, you're not doing anything different than anyone else. What are you doing? I was like, I'm just following instructions. He gave me this blueprint, so I'm using the blueprint. And I'm really great at building relationships. So it's all about building relationships with the tellers and the personal service reps. And then they sent me referrals more than I could do in a day. I don't complain about, but when you get 50 referrals a day and you just have to learn how to work them quickly and sell as many as you can.
Yes.
I would say that opportunity was one of the best opportunities in my career, even though I got glass ceiling and got bored it was a good 10 years. It was a great 10 years. I learned a lot. And I mean, I don't feel like there's a lot of 29, 30-year-olds that can say they made six figures at 29 and 30.
Especially in corporate America. You're right.
Yeah, like I felt very proud of myself. Like I'm not there again. Yeah. I felt very proud at 29, 30 years old when I was doing that well.
Yeah. Well, that is absolutely awesome. So learning all that you can, having a good mentor, and taking what they say and improving upon it is what I heard you say.
Yes.
That is absolutely awesome. Well, let's talk about the 2 or 3 people that have been the most influential to you in your career.
So actually the very first person that ever gave me a job in insurance was a State Farm agency.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. So I worked there part-time for when I was in college. So I worked for a temp agency, and then the temp agency had a contract with State Farm. And then I met Jennifer, she's amazing. I don't think she's on here, but I'll have to share this with her. But Jennifer Six, shout out to Jennifer Six.
Yay! Shout out Jennifer. Awesome.
Once you get in, it's hard to get out. Yes, so she was the first one to give me an opportunity. She was a great manager.
Wonderful.
And I wasn't sure at that time that insurance was for me, so I didn't stay there longer than a year. But she gave me that foot in the door. And then from there, I went to work for an independent agent who got me licensed. And then I would say that the next biggest influencer was the credit union manager that I had in insurance. That he really helped me a lot.
And that is awesome, because people sometimes think they say people leave companies sometimes for bad bosses. But on the flip side, too, there are some awesome bosses out there, too, that make you want to stay. And even if you're currently under not so great of a boss, you can reach across and find someone that you used to work with that can also help you as well. So I like that we can have both of them. It's not always a negative thing. Say, nope, there's some good people out there, too, and you can learn a lot. And I'm liking that. So please make sure you look across the organization before you leave an organization. Look across, even though the situation that you're working in right now may be uncomfortable, there may be other opportunities within the organization before you take that leap. I always try to recommend people work within the organization before they take that leap. So I like that you said that. Okay, so what is one of the common myths about your profession or field that you want to debunk?
Well, that it's a boys club. I want to get rid of the boys club. I want it to be an all-inclusive club. You know, I want it to be like, if you go to an all-inclusive resort, everyone can go up to the bar. And I don't know, that's a good metaphor.
I'll eat all the shrimp. It's all-inclusive. I'll stay at the seafood bar. That's my love.
But you know, like we so that's I think one thing that I would like to debunk. And then the other thing, and I think I touched on it a little bit, but I hate that people are like, all insurance is the same. Yeah, it's just a commodity. It's not. You know, if you have minimum liability limits on your car and no water damage on your home and no one policy, that is not the same as having a full comprehensive plan where you know,
so it's true.
Not the same. So those are the two things. Like, I'd love to get rid of the insurance is all about saving the dollar. If we could get rid of all those ads and really like talk about how it's about people helping people. And I think is it Allstate? Like, one of the companies has tried to do that, I think, but it's not. I mean, it's not just about the money,
right?
So those are the two things. I think if we could those, we'd have like such a wonderful, the best industry ever.
And we'll have more people that's coming into it with a clearer understanding, because the insurance is just not, like I said, the insurance agent on the side, on not the side of the street, across the street from you. It's actually a whole engine that goes behind, because people don't realize for these large insurance companies to work, it's just not selling the insurance. We need people to help with the advertising. We need people help with marketing. We need help with, you know, all types of internal things. And you know what? The funniest thing that I found out when I worked for State Farm is that we have ergonomics people to help you make sure you're sitting at your desk appropriately. I said, I didn't know that was a job. Just go around making sure you're sitting upright, your arms are right and everything. But we're risk organization.
Mhm.
So if the person is not sitting appropriately, that can be a health risk, right? Never really thought about that. So that's just like a FYI. So there's so many other opportunities about insurance. So I love that you said that. So let's go circle back around to the soft skills tips. So just, when you're talking about soft skills and, in your experience and working and everything, what would you tell the audience to start looking to do as far as those who are in the industry? I guess soft skills overall.
So I think that communication is the key. So we got to learn how to pick up the phone and call somebody. That's, so I have a 16-year-old and I was trying to explain to her that she was going to have to pick up the phone to call someone. She was doing a project where she was collecting like shampoo and toothpaste for the homeless. And she was calling, she was going to do it without my help. But she had to call up hotels and dentists and ask them. She's like, well, can I just text them or email them? I'm like, no, you can't. You can't do that. You got to call and let them know what you're doing.
Because they don't know who you are. They'll mark it blocked.
Right. Yeah. And like same thing.
Yes, Teresa.
Thank you. Same thing when you like there's situations like if a client gets heated, you can't just keep emailing. A lot of times you miscommunicate with each other.
Yeah.
So picking up the phone to answer a question and building that relationship, because I'm sorry, you can try it all day long, but you're not going to build a relationship through text messaging. That's right. Email. And a lot of times people end up just getting hurt feelings because they are putting a tone in their head on what you're saying that isn't your tone. Like you're just asking a simple question. All of a sudden they think you're mad at them. But if they talked to you on the phone and heard your voice, they would know. And also they would get to know you. They would know that you're just asking a question, that you're just curious about something, or you're trying to answer a question. So I would say the biggest thing for communication.
Yes, definitely communication.
Talking to people. I mean, now we have cool, tools like Zoom and, Google Teams and all that. Like, there's no reason why you shouldn't be like communicating with people when you can. If you can, the stuff that just needs an automatic reply, like use automation, do that. We're not computers. Let the computer do that. And then use your soft skills to talk with people and actually really communicate why you feel like something's important for them to have or how you're trying to help them. Because you're going to have people who will be loyal to you because of that. And also they feel connected. Yeah. And it's all about
I like
connecting.
that.
It's all about connecting with this industry. I mean, I can say that I've had clients from when I first started in the insurance business as a customer service rep that has actually followed me. I have about 10 of them that have followed me to every agency I've ever worked at.
Yep, they bought into you, Sarah. Yes. Yep, because of the way that you serve them and also have their best interests at heart.
Yes. Yeah. So, and I think I don't remember what your question is anymore.
It's about soft skills. So what is one of the most important ones that communication is? And I also heard that in addition to communication, relationship building.
Yes.
And that's important too in your space. Is that correct?
Yes.
And how do you go about doing that?
About relationships?
Yeah, building good, solid relationships. They followed you like that. What's the secret sauce?
I think just listening. Like, honestly, I think just listening instead of like always just trying to wait to talk. So a lot of people don't understand just being quiet while someone talks does not mean you're listening. Most of the people, and I read a book about this, I don't remember what it's called, but most people spend most of their time when someone's talking thinking about what they're going to say next. They don't actually hear everything that person's saying. So when you don't hear them, you don't understand what they're asking for, and you can't help them solve a problem or offer them what they need. So how I've always seen the insurance field, and it served me well, is that I'm just solving a problem. I'm not selling anything. I'm just solving whatever problem you may have. So I'm just trying to be proactive, solve it before you actually have that claim, so that that you have slab coverage on your foundation. Like you have that peace of mind because you told me what's important to you. I listened. God gave us 2 ears and 1 mouth for a reason. And
that's right.
Yes. And it's really that is number one. I think that's people know when you listen, and they really like that. I mean, who doesn't like to be listened to?
Yeah, I love that. So I heard you say listening, communication will give you great relationships.
Yes.
Oh, that is powerful. And I think that's across the board in the insurance industry, in career industry, whatever career industry that you are in, those things will really help you separate yourself from the pack, having those skills. And I don't care if you're extrovert or introvert, you can still communicate and build relationships as an introvert in your own way, just like an extrovert. Like me, I may do a cartwheel. Who knows?
Yeah, I make videos, like right. Each their own.
So that's what I do, but not everybody may do that. So, and Deshauna reminded us, let me see. She said Insurance Nerds 2019. That's what it was. Yep. That's right, Deshauna. Yep. Again, Tony. Yep. Because I was a speaker there. I think I was speaking on career. Oh, the young people, I was speaking about career development and stuff. Yep. Sure enough. Yes. Awesome. Okay. So let me ask you another question. So if you could step into my shoes as the interviewer, what would you ask yourself that I didn't get a chance to ask?
That's a hard one. Because I feel like we touched on so much. So I would say, I would ask what motivates and drives you to be the best version of yourself.
I love it.
The industry, and then also for yourself, because at the end of the day, we are the most important person to ourselves. We don't realize that, and that sounds weird or selfish, but it's not. Like if I'm not healthy, I can't take care of my family to the best of my ability. I can't help my clients to the best of my ability. So I would say, where does my fire come from? Because I've always been told by employers that they're like, I don't understand your fire. Like, why are you on fire and everybody else is like, just kind of like, like, I don't know, like how right. And I always have, like, my fire comes from my family. My kids and my husband mean the world to me.
Yes.
And being able to give them everything that I feel like I want to give them, and setting up goals. So like right now, my current goal is to take my daughter to Paris in 2023 for her graduation. Ooh. And that puts a big fire in my belly. So I know what goals, I know what I have to do to get there. I know what goals I have to meet. And who I have to help, and then I can enjoy Paris. I've never even been, so I was like, I'm a little jealous that she's going to get to go at 18. And I have to
That's okay, because when baby girl start making them big bucks, she gonna turn around and take mama later on. So don't worry about it. It's payback, boo. I love that. That is absolutely awesome. Okay, so I love to ask this last question before we end the broadcast today. When I say I rock, what does that mean to you? So if you were to say I rock because, what would you say, Sarah?
I rock because I care.
Yeah, you do. I know your heart. We've had some good conversations. You do. Yes, you do. Yes. In this industry, we need that. Don't just sell me just to sell me. Sell me because you truly care about what I need and how I can protect my family. And you're really good at that. So you want to tell everybody how to get in contact with you?
Yeah. So I'm on LinkedIn. My I don't know, like just under Sarah Muniz, I think you can find me. And I don't know if I have home team insurance listed as my employer on there. I don't.
So they can find you there too.
Yeah, you can find me there, and you can find me on Facebook. I'm on Instagram. I think it's like at Sarah-Muniz. for Instagram. It's all my personal stuff. I don't have a business page set up because I don't own my business. But when I do someday, I will have a business page set up.
We're going to call that into fruition, honey. Well, I so appreciate you being my guest on today. It's always enlightening to hear from others about their journeys in their career and how they've overcome things. And like I say, failure to get back up. And as we talked about, feedback is not always good feedback. You, like Tammy said, eat the meat and leave the bone and do what you got to do. But don't let those things hinder you too long. Not to say that they won't, because we're still emotional creatures, humans, period. And it will hurt. But how do we overcome that? Then sometimes there's those little lessons that we learn along the way. And like shows like this is where you can share those gems of what you did to help my audience, so that if they're going through that right now, what can they do to overcome that? And going back to those 3 key soft skills of active listening to the person, communicating appropriately without text messaging because it can be misconstrued, and as well building those relationships, because those relationships can last. And it was so funny. I'm gonna tell this quick story before I leave. I got done with one of my clients. She's going for a CEO type role, vice president CEO type role, and she's like, "Oh, I'm getting nervous that our relationship is about to end because of our, working together." I said, "Don't worry. I'm still here." I said, "You can reach out." I said, "Trust me, I become friends with a lot of my clients." I said, "That's no problem." She said, "Okay, good. I just want to make sure." I am just literally, I am away. So you can always reach me. So I want to thank you so much for being my guest. And to all of you all who are watching today, thank you so much for joining me always. We're going to be here same time next week with a new guest. I'm talking again about real careers, real talk, real careers, and real results. And if you are not on my email list, please make sure that you get on my email list, because I have an awesome group. If you go to iRockResumes.com, you get a free download book about the dispelling the one-page resume myth. I would love for you to download that and get on my group, because I have a wonderful on my email list, because I have a private group that's only for people that's on my email list and also my clients. It's called The Break Room. And we are going to have an awesome discussion on tonight at 6:00. In one of our not Zoom rooms, a Facebook room. So I'm going to be trying that. Instead of Zoom room, Facebook has their rooms. And we have some real adult talk coming up today. So if you're interested in those kind of conversations, I call them huddles, because it's all playing off of the office, right? The break room, where you have those powerful conversations, and also huddles and water cooler chats as well. Join an elite group of professionals who get around and come around the virtual table and have some candid conversations. So go and make sure you join the email list to get an invitation to be on to that group. There's only 4 people on my list. And let me see. And if you're watching a replay, I love when you all put the hashtag replay, because that lets me know that you're watching it, and to continue to like it, share it, love it, whatever, so we can get more eyes on this. Again, thank you so much for joining me. Any last parting words, Sarah, before we end?
Just that you rock. Thank you for having me.
Thank you, girl. I'm just so honored that you came on the show and said, yes, I'm coming. Woo, woo, woo. Okay. Thank you all so much, everyone. I'm going to do my outro, and I'll see you guys next week, same time and very same. Should I say bat channel? Is that dating me? Oh my gosh, I think it is. But anyway, bat channel. See you next week. Hold on one moment, Sarah.